Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Philadelphia 76ers, who are the second best team in this Eastern Conference by a mile when Joel Embiid is healthy. And that's just what they are. So now, if Giannis isn't available, the Bucks would be dogs in the series.
He ain't sleeping on that air mattress anymore. He's got a regular king-size bed, a posturepedic, whatever they call it, a Sealy's, whatever they do, those things. He ready to roll. Denominating tonight.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
People that bashed him will be eating their words this year.
Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is he a starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
a popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
The tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
Level 3, let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Morency. The Vancouver Canucks and the Nashville Predators, third period, getting ready to start. The Preds are up 3-1 on Vancouver right now. The Dallas Mavericks and the Clippers are going back and forth, 62-61. It's a low-scoring game, 3 minutes left in the third quarter of play. The Clippers have outscored the Mavericks 21-16 so far in the third. We bet the over 190.5 at the half. It's currently 187.5 right now. The Mavericks are minus 1.5 points in this game because they have the basketball, but it's going back and forth. The Winnipeg Jets and the Colorado Avalanche, they are into the third period of play right now, and the Jets are going on the power play. They're running out of racetrack, though, right now. They're running out of rink as it's 4-2. They're trailing by 2. You got 7 minutes left, but they're going on the they're going to be going on the power play. In-game total is currently 7.5 right now. So Nashville up 3-1. We're on the Canucks to win the game. I got an under. What do I got? I don't even think I have 6.5. I got 6, I believe, right? I got under 6. That could be a problem, but whatever. 6.5 if I get a push or whatever. I think Vancouver could come back. Right? They've had really bad puck luck in this game. No excuses, but it is what it is. That's going to happen. It just is. It's going to happen in hockey. You're going to have to fight through it. You're going to get injuries are going to happen. You're going to have to fight through it. DeSmith hasn't been great. He hasn't been terrible. He's kind of been okay. You'd like to only gave up 2 goals right now than 3, but it is what it is. Vancouver have only scored 1, and they really haven't. They're gripping the stick tight. They've hit numerous goalposts. They've missed the net when it's been open. I think they might have got caught up a little bit, right? I think there was so much pressure on them coming into game 1. And they win game 1. I think maybe they eased up a little bit, just psychologically. And then you got Nashville is more desperate, and then you got a backup goalie in here, and it's showing a little bit. You could probably argue that there's 2 goals here that Demko would have had, and this would be a 1-1 game right now. I don't want to pin it on to Smith. I didn't like that last rebound. I don't like the 2 goals, but they're not terrible goals. It's just, it's the playoffs. If you're going to win the playoffs, you need to get really good goaltending. Doesn't have to be a star goalie, but the dude needs to be hot. But the Smith has made a couple of nice saves to keep them in the game as well. So it's up to Vancouver to score an early goal here in this period and make a game of it. Like I said, Winnipeg are running out of time right now. And the Clippers and the Mavericks total just fell to 183.5. Nobody has scored in the last 2 minutes of this game, so there's only $1.40 left right now in the third quarter. We're not fans of that and this slowdown. The NBA playoffs really have been playing to the under. Not all of them, but for the most part, if you're betting all the unders, they have been cashing. I mean, really, 183.5 right now? I'm not going to panic. There could be a little bit of a flurry here, but we need a couple of points on the way out of this quarter. I'll tell you that. So 62-61 for the Clippers, and we're also on the Mavericks. So I don't want to lose the total bet and lose the Mavericks bet. Right? If we get the split, we can live with it. We'll take the split. You know, sports betting and being a sports fan is so much funner when you're actually winning games. All right, we're going to welcome our AM radio affiliates here. Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. We're breaking it down to Twisted Tuesday. Shout out to all of our affiliates who are stepping up and joining us for the final hour of the program, Level 3. We've been breaking it down in-game all night, and some things have gone our way, and some things have not. And most of the things that have gone our way were the earlier games tonight, in which we were on the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers were victorious this evening, so they've even their series up. We were on the Minnesota Timberwolves. The T-Wolves are now up 2-0 for the record. The Phoenix Suns will host the T-Wolves on Friday night. They're 3.5-point favorites as they open up as 3.5-point favorites in what's a must-win game for them. And I think that they can win the game, and I think they will win the game. When I was on the T-Wolves in the first 2 games, the Clippers and the Mavericks it's a real close one. It's a low-scoring one. And the in-game total is plummeting right now to 179.5 as it's 63-62. Late in the third quarter of play, it's a slugfest right now. We got a 1-point game rocking. We've got NHL playoff hockey going on right now. The Colorado Avalanche on the verge of beating the Winnipeg Jets. It's 4-2 with under 5 minutes remaining in Winnipeg. Colorado looking to even the series with a big road win. And the Nashville Predators, also a desperate hockey team tonight, playing against a backup goalie. The Vancouver Canucks star goalie, all-star Thatcher Demko, is injured. He hurt his knee again. He's questionable to return for the series. Casey DeSmith, the backup, hasn't been terrible, but he also has been pretty, average. And I don't think the Predators would have 3 goals right now if Thatcher Demko was playing, but they do. It is what it is. If you think there's going to be a third-period comeback, which there actually could be, Vancouver aren't really getting outplayed. They just can't score. And they're plus 700 on the money line right now. Plus 2.5. They're getting 2.5 goals. We're on them to win the game, and we got them plus 2.5 as well. And incidentally, I got a parlay with Vancouver and Winnipeg, both in the plus 2.5 range. So we're looking to hit that like we're going to be hitting the NFL draft. Rick Saratella is going to step up and in a couple of minutes. It's getting real. We're 48 hours away from this thing right now. We're still waiting for that blockbuster trade to happen. It hasn't happened yet. There were reports that the Raiders aggressively tried to get the second pick from the Washington Commanders, but the Commanders they rebuffed the offer because the Commanders want Jaden Daniels. Now, some people out there still think they're going to take Drake May. I don't buy that. The sports books don't buy it. I got my money on Jaden Daniels, and I personally think teams want to trade up, but they wanted to trade up to get Jaden Daniels more so than they did want to trade up for J.J. McCarthy and/or Drake May. Maybe something will still happen before the draft, but we'll break it down with Rick Saratella. We'll get his take. And, Rick always has a couple of crazy hot takes when it comes to trades and the NFL draft. We'll get his initial mock draft here as we're now just days away from this thing. And I've continued to put my wagers in. And one bet that I put in, and we did hit the front end of it because it was like minus 220, was over under 20.5 offensive players drafted in the first round of the draft. The all-time record is 19, and it's happened 3 times before in which 19 offensive players have been drafted. There are some people that think there's going to be 22, even maybe 23 offensive players taken in the first round. I think we're going to get to 21, maybe 22, but I got over 20.5, so that's a play that we did put in. And, of course, we did hammer the Marvin Harrison to be selected by the Arizona Cardinals at minus 180 last night. And we should note as well, there are bets out there and options out there. Who's going to be the 4th pick of the draft? Marvin Harrison is like, and I see on our screen here, we got him listed at minus 240 right now, being the fourth pick of the draft. Yet he's minus 180 to be drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, who have the fourth pick of the draft. So, I would rather get it at minus 180 than the minus 240. I don't think the Cardinals want to trade the pick. I think they want Marvin Harrison, and they're going to get Marvin Harrison. So that's a play that we put in. The Clippers right now are up by 1 point at the end of the third quarter. So we're going into the fourth. It's 66-65. In-game total is popped back up to 183.5 right now. Clippers minus 145 on the money line in what, I don't know, I'm not going to say it's a must-win game for the Dallas Mavericks, because I could see the Mavericks winning both games at home, and I can see home court actually meaning something in this series. But this is a big game for the Dallas Mavericks. Hell of a lot off being better off tied at 1 than down 0-2. We get into the draft on the other side of Rick Saratella. We track all these games in-game. Let's roll. This is SportsRage.
It's when he swung it easy at three-quarter golf swings, and he pretty much hit his number all the time. Dude, but when he hit something full, he hit it 20 yards over the greens at times. He was like, what are you doing?
He's just smiley, happy, and a freakish athlete golf robot that's going to be right there winning majors for the next 10-plus years. It's amazing.
Did you say he was smiling or smiley?
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Philadelphia 76ers, who are the second best team in this Eastern Conference by a mile when Joel Embiid is healthy. That's just what they are. So now, if Giannis isn't available, the Bucks would be dogs in the series.
He ain't sleeping on that air mattress anymore. He's got a regular king-size bed, a posturepedic, whatever they call it, a Sealy's, whatever they do, those things. He's ready to roll. Denominating tonight.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
People that bashed him will be eating their words this year.
Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is he a starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
a popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
The tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues, as does the countdown to the National Football League draft, so you know what that means. You know what time it is. It's Rick Saratella time. The Pips, the Players, the Hustlers, the people to bust them, Rick Saratella and everybody else in between, the founder of the NFL Draft Bible, allaccessfootball.com, scout with the Edmonton Elks, and more. Let's do this thing. Rick, how you doing, my man?
Chopping it up, breaking it down. So happy to be here, Gabe.
So a countdown to the draft is officially on right now, and we're still waiting for that first blockbuster trade to happen. Interesting that I see reports out of Boston and the New England Patriots. The Patriots went on record last week and publicly stated that they were open for business. Said, we have a lot of needs on our football team, and if we can do a good deal, we're open to it, which told me that they weren't getting any offers. So they figured, well, we're going to go public with this since no one's calling us really. I see now reports from the Boston media, Pro Football Talk, reporting that they did receive a couple of calls, but they were laughable offers. And it seems to me, Rick, I don't know if you agree or disagree, I think teams want to trade up, but to get Jaden Daniels. And they know that there's no point of trading up to to get the third pick because Washington is going to take Jaden Daniels. I think he's the player that people want to trade up for, not Drake May or J.J. McCarthy.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. I will say that New England has been actively discussing trade options, and I heard at Boston College Pro Day, in fact, that they were very open to trading down. However, no further than the 5th pick, which is why you'll see in my mock draft coming out on BostonSportsJournal.com, I have New England trading with Minnesota at 11 and 23. That would include next year's 2025 first-round pick, and then giving up 11 and 23 this year to move back up to number 5 to get J.J. McCarthy. I slightly disagree with you in that I do believe it's going to come down to who wants Drake Daniels more. Is it New England? Is it the Giants? Is it Minnesota, who I believe wants him the baddest? But that's what it's ultimately going to come down to at pick number 3.
Well, that's the thing. I think that I don't know. I'm not eating dinner with them. I'm not sitting at the bar with the head scouts and general manager. But I think there's sort of a preference. I think the Patriots prefer J.J. McCarthy to Drake May. But I think, as you stated, the Vikings want Drake May. I think, and personally, no one really knows about the Giants. I can see the Giants not taking a quarterback. But at the same point in time, Drake May is most compared to Josh Allen, isn't he, from his skill set, right? From the character traits of his game, which Dable did have Josh Allen in Buffalo. I could see Brian Dable liking Drake May more than J.J. McCarthy, but I personally believe that the Patriots like McCarthy more than May. That's my own personal take.
No, I'm on board with you there, and I will say that, Drake May – maybe more Jake Plummer than Josh Allen, but I do think that, the Giants would be getting another one of these Eli Manning proteges, right? Like Drake May is a mentor of Eli Manning, and we just lived this nightmare with Daniel Jones, who was, oh, by the way, under the tutelage of Eli Manning. And so, do the Giants really want to hit the reset button with another one of these Eli Manning kind of proteges? I don't know. We'll see. I don't think the Giants are going to be willing to give up what it takes. They're too many pieces away. The Vikings have been hot to trot. They've been calling, asking around. And again, hey, the Patriots can still acquire those draft picks, hold on to next year's number 1, then move back up to 5, okay, and still get their guy in J.J. McCarthy. And I think that's how it might play out.
Yeah, but I'm going to disagree. I don't think that all these teams are in a panic. I think it's just media and mock drafts and stuff. I don't think when push comes to shove, I don't think they want to trade up. I don't think Arizona even wants to trade their 4th pick.
Sam Darnold's your starting quarterback. Wait a second. Sam Darnold's your starting quarterback. You're in a state of panic.
Yeah, but there's going to be quarterbacks there for them, right? Like Michael Penix will be there.
No.
Hell, J.J. McCarthy could be there potentially.
No way. I don't buy it. I think Michael Penix.
If the Patriots, let me ask you, if the Patriots don't take J.J. McCarthy with the 3rd pick, where is he going to go? Where does he end up?
That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Like Arizona has the 4th pick. I don't think they're trading the pick. The Chargers want to trade the pick. Will someone trade the pick?
New England will stay within the top 5 and still land J.J. McCarthy, is what I'm trying to explain to you. Right. So,
yeah, how is that possible? You would need multiple trades for that to happen, Rick.
Right. Exactly.
The Chargers
have
the 5th pick, and the Cardinals have the 4th pick. So, they would need to trade.
So the Vikings give up 11 overall, 23 overall, and a 2025 first-round pick to get up to number 3. They take Drake May. New England then parlays number 11 and number 23 to the Chargers at number 5 after the Cardinals take.
This is quite a bet. Man, you got to get this parlay in. You're going to make some money on this one, I tell you.
There is some real credence to this now. Hey, I'm not just pulling straws out of thin air here. Okay,
I threw it out there, even though it won't happen. That they trade Justin Herbert on draft night and they draft J.J. McCarthy. That'll really upset a lot of people.
Well, you
the
know,
Chargers.
if you really want to go wild, there's a scenario there where Justin Jefferson, Justin Haybert, and JJ McCarthy could all be part of a big time package, right? There's a formula there that there's some assets, there's some disgruntled players, there's some teams who need quarterback, right? That, you know, if Jim Harbaugh loves JJ McCarthy,
we get in on that. Yeah. Send Herbert to the Vikings. You guys get the QBs out of the AFC, and we get Jefferson, who wants more money, and a bunch of draft picks.
Or it could be a three-way where, you know, Herbert goes to New England, or Jefferson goes to the Chargers. The Chargers take McCarthy. The Patriots wind up with Herbert, and
we're
the
getting
Vikings
wild here. One thing that could happen though is Brandon Ayuk, right? He's actually potentially available. I know they don't really want to do it, but
possible.
That's more. Yeah, that's more. Maybe my Bills can get in on that one. Like I said, Rick, we're 48 hours away, and we're all throwing darts here, bro. Let's just be real. Right?
Well,
we're throwing darts.
Elliot will credit, right?
It's when he swung it easy at three-quarter golf swings, and he pretty much hit his number all the time. Dude, but when he hit something full, he hit it 20 yards over the greens at times. He was like, what are you doing?
He's just smiley, happy, and a freakish athlete golf robot that's going to be right there winning majors for the next 10-plus years. It's amazing.
Did you say he was smiling or smiley?
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Philadelphia 76ers, who are the second best team in this Eastern Conference by a mile when Joel Embiid is healthy. That's just what they are. So now, if Giannis isn't available, the Bucks would be dogs in the series.
He ain't sleeping on that air mattress anymore. He's got a regular king-size bed, a posturepedic, whatever they call it, a Sealy's, whatever they do, those things. He ready to roll. Denominating tonight.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
People that bashed him will be eating their words this year.
Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is his starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
a popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
The tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
We're kicking it with Rick Saratella. Countdown to the NFL draft is on. I am Gabriel Morency. It's hot take night here tonight, but one thing that's not a hot take, it's a fact. I put my bet in, and I tweeted it out on X to everybody in the overnight hours last night. Now, this is contingent, Rick, on a trade not happening pretty much, but I've gotten I got Marvin Harrison at minus 180 to be the fourth pick. Although I should note he's not the fourth pick. Arizona have to take him. So team to select Marvin Harrison. And guys, when you're betting this stuff, there's so many different props, and they're all worded differently. Because put it this way, Marvin Harrison to be the fourth pick in the draft is minus 220. Marvin Harrison to get selected by Arizona is minus 180. Well, they have the fourth pick in the draft. So I got a much better price, but they need to take him and not trade the pick. And I've been of the belief the whole time, Rick, that they're not going to trade the pick. You think that they could But ultimately, what do you think? I think Marvin Harrison will be an Arizona Cardinal. He goes fourth to the Cards. I put my money on it.
I do believe that while there might be a market there for Marvin Harrison, there's probably a team that's going to say, hey, or at least the general thinking would be, hey, why give up so much draft equity if I can sit pat and maybe get a Roman Dunze or Malik Neighbors, which isn't too much of a drop-off. So I'm with you. I think it's Arizona, Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 4.
Let's say the Chargers don't trade the pick, Rick. What's your pick? If they don't trade the pick, do they go with the Malik Neighbors? Do they think outside the box and Brock Bowers? Do they go with Joe Alt, the meat and potatoes, like you and I have been thinking? Harbaugh likes the offensive line. He's got a 5-year contract. Harbaugh doesn't think he's winning the Super Bowl this year, Rick. Right? They got rid of Williams. They got rid of Keenan Allen. They're trying to rebuild. They're not they want to compete for a playoffs, but you know what I'm saying. So, but at the same point in time, they need some weapons for Justin Herbert as well. Or do they get those weapons later in the later rounds, Rick? What do you think the Chargers do with the 5th pick?
Well, you can wait on weapons. However, we talked about Harbaugh loving tight ends, and Brock Bowers is the number 3 player in this year's draft on my big board. So I think this is a legitimate shot for Brock Bowers. I do think that's one of the players that you could see a market where teams try to move up. I think the Colts are at 15. They would love him. The Jets at number 10 would be ecstatic to have him. I think Harbaugh might pull the trigger. If it's not Brock Bowers, then yes, I do agree it would be Joe Alt.
Yeah, Joe Alt. We're getting nearly 5-1 with Joe Alt, guys, plus 450. Not bad odds. It's not sexy, but think about Harbaugh building a line. This is how he operates. He likes offensive lines. They've already got some good pieces on that line, but they could use another one to really protect Herbert. They brought in J.K. Dobbins. They're going to draft him. Plus, Harbaugh, there's a good bunch of the offensive depth is pretty good in the 2nd and 3rd, 4th rounds, right, Rick? He can get some weapons still. So the Giants, let's say the Giants don't go quarterback. I'm not so convinced that they do go quarterback, to be honest. Do they go Malik Neighbors?
I think, when you take into consideration Neighbors and Odunze, very, very closely rated on a lot of people's boards. But when you talk about big market, big city, off the field concerns, I think Odunze is the cleanest character and probably better fitted for New York, especially when they've
be able to handle the pressure more, huh? Yeah.
Well, they had some issues there with DeAndre Baker, former first-round pick who no longer is in the league. They had some other issues. They didn't really do their homework on Darren Waller, and hopefully they did their homework on Malik. Kadarius Toney was another one, yes. So I think, to play it safe and not get burned. Now, the allure of another LSU wide receiver, that'll be the best thing they've seen since OBJ. That's going to be an offer there dangling that may be too good to refuse. But if I'm the Giants, I'm going to go a little bit conservative, go for the little bit safer play, considering everything else they've endured with their draft history.
So I played Marvin Harrison to be drafted by the Cardinals, Rick, and I also put in a play on Brock Bowers to be a top 10 pick. And as you stated, you've got him ranked as your 3rd best player in the draft. I think people are sleeping on him a little bit, but I don't think coaches are. And I don't think it's crazy that Harbaugh would doing it. Hell, Harbaugh got carved up by the guy in a semifinal game a couple of years ago, okay? So, and don't forget, Harbaugh also coached against Odunze, who had a pretty good game against Michigan. Penix missed him on a couple of shots. Like, Odunze was getting open in that game. So I'm thinking, some people are thinking Neighbors to the Chargers. I'm like, maybe he likes Odunze more. Maybe he likes the character. Like, Harbaugh is a character guy as well. He has to like you and the type of person you are to be on his team. But as far as Brock Bowers is concerned, I don't think he gets out of the top 10. You mentioned it. The Colts, no secret the Colts would like to get him. I don't know if they're going to try to. I doubt they trade up to do it. But I'm also hearing the Jets, Rick, love Herbert Aaron Rodgers.
It's when he swung it easy at 3/4 golf swings, and he pretty much hit his number all the time. Dude, but when he hit something full, he hit it 20 yards over the greens at times. He's like, what are you doing?
He's just smiley, happy, and a freakish athlete golf robot that's going to be right there winning majors for the next 10 plus years. It's amazing.
Did you say he was smiling or smiley?
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Philadelphia 76ers, who are the second best team in this Eastern Conference by a mile when Joel Embiid is healthy. That's just what they are. So now, if Giannis isn't available, the Bucks would be dogs in the series.
He ain't sleeping on that air mattress anymore. He's got a regular king-size bed, a posturepedic, whatever they call it, a Sealy's, whatever they do, those things. He's ready to roll. Denominating tonight.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
People that bashed him will be eating their words this year. Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is he a starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
a popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
The tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel. Let's redo that. Sorry. Come on, Rick. Marvin Harrison. I've got him being selected by the Arizona Cardinals. And you got to, like I said before, guys, you've got to really understand the wording of it, because the Arizona Cardinals to select Marvin Harrison is minus 180. Marvin Harrison to be the fourth pick of the draft is minus 220. So I think it's going to be Arizona, so I might as well get the 40 cents to my benefit on this. So always sort of double check. Anytime you're betting one of these draft props, look at the wording and see, okay, is there an equivalent bet to this at a different price, actually. So, Rick, there's been so much talk about the offense and how we're going to break records. The record is 19 offensive players taken in the first round of the draft. That's happened 3 times before. And it seems to be a slam dunk consensus that record is going to be broken. And you're all the way up to 22 right now, aren't you? 22-10 offensive players to defense.
I couldn't believe it. I got done with my mock draft. I know it was a topic of discussion last week, so I had to do the tally and count it and break it down. I double-checked, I triple-checked. I said, man, we got 22 offensive prospects in the first round. It's going to be offensive dominated. It's going to be early. It's going to be often. And as we just mentioned last segment, there could be maybe one or none. 0 defensive players in that top 10.
What about the quarterbacks? So you said you think Penix goes higher than people think. Mel Kiper's got Penix going 37th to the Raiders. I see some mock drafts. I think that's crazy. I think he's going I don't think he gets through that quarterback row. I don't think he gets through that Minnesota, Raiders, Broncos avenue there.
Yeah,
I'm calling the quarterback row.
I'm gonna put the NFL on notice if Michael Penix links up with Sean Payton. Watch out now, because that's going to be a dangerous combination. And for whatever it's worth, I've got Michael Penix as my number 3 quarterback behind Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy. And I will even say I think Penix has more upside than J.J. McCarthy. I do think McCarthy – I've been a big believer in McCarthy, but I do think there's a ceiling there, right? He's the ultimate game manager. He is Kirk Cousins. If he maxes out the potential, if he reaches his pinnacle, I think you could get as good as a Kirk Cousins. With Penix, I see a guy that kind of reminds me of Jalen Hurts, man. This guy can push the ball downfield. We saw the deceptive speed at the combine. He throws darts. I think Michael Penix has as much upside as any quarterback in this year's draft. And there's no way he's getting past the Raiders if Sean Payton passes him up. But I think Payton really recognizes QB talent. And I think that's a match made in heaven.
What do you make of Zach Wilson being acquired by the Denver Broncos? Do you think is it a backup plan, or is he going to be a backup quarterback? Why would they bring in him? Do you think Peyton likes him? Well, obviously, he likes him enough to bring him in. What's your take on that?
I mean, the guy was taken in the first round for a reason. It's just an insurance policy, but by no means does the acquisition of Zach Wilson, who they got for a bag of chips, change your draft outlook. I mean, when Jarrett Stidham's your only quarterback, you got to have some options, right?
What kind of chips? I like that. Michael Penix is plus 350 to go be drafted by the Raiders, plus 400 by the Vikings, plus 450 by the Broncos, which makes perfect sense to me. Like I said, I don't have him getting past that 11, 12, 13 row there with teams that are looking for quarterbacks. I think he'd be a good fit for the Raiders, wouldn't he? I mean, I'm with you, too. I have a lot of respect for Greg Cosell. I think he does an awesome job breaking down these players. And he was saying he thinks that Penix throws the best NFL football out of any of the quarterbacks. Said better than Caleb. He goes out of all these quarterbacks, he throws the tightest spiral and sort of the most NFL-ready football.
Yeah. You know, a lot of these analysts on TV, I don't see them anywhere out and about scouting at games. Like, you know, the last time I checked, playing from within the pocket, it wins in the National Football League. This guy's a surgeon in the pocket, and he's going to operate at a very high level when he gets to the pros. People are counting out Michael Penix, not this guy.
What about Bo Nix? What's your take with Bo Nix? Some people have him potentially falling out of the first round. Is he that guy that falls into the second round? What do you think about Bo Nix?
I don't think he gets past the Giants in round 2. I think they come back around somewhere around 40 or 47, and it just makes a lot of sense, right? Like, hey, give us another option. We don't believe in Daniel Jones. We missed out on the cream of the crop. Let us at least inject another guy into the equation here, and I think it will also extend the lifespan of the one Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, because if they don't get a rookie quarterback and they don't make the playoffs, well, then they're automatically out of there. But if they got a young guy and the season's out of wraps, and you know Bo Nix comes in at the down the stretch and shows some offer of life, well, then maybe those guys get to keep their job another year.
I've heard, and we've heard this before about the Rams, but I don't know if they'll actually do it, that the Rams wouldn't mind grabbing one of these young quarterbacks just to put behind Stafford. Are you buying that?
Well, you know, Sean McVay is thinking long-term now, and I don't think it's a bad idea. Stafford, this could be his final season.
Stafford played well last year, and I'll give him credit for it. He played better than I thought. Like, he was still zipping it around, but at some point, you do have to think about, hey, and plus he makes a lot of money. They were kind of stuck with his contract, to be honest.
Right, well, yeah, and we saw the year before, though, he started to kind of break down a little bit, so his body could be 1 year, you know, 1 year away at any given moment. So I do think it makes a lot of sense, especially when you get a guy who's played in all these different schemes and systems, 61 career games started, the son of a football coach. Like, hey, sit behind Matthew Stafford for a year or two and then hand him the keys. But I'll tell you what, I said, listen, Bo Nix can hang out in the NFL for a long time as a valuable backup. If you're asking this man to be a franchise quarterback, I don't know. I think you might get into trouble there.
Let me just throw some over-unders at you, Rick. Players, over-under draft position. Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver, Texas. Over-under 27.5.
I think he's going to go under. The big, fast, physical. There's just too many teams that need a wide receiver.
My boy Blake Corum, running back, Michigan. Over-under 82.5. So,
whoa.
You think later? That's a little high, 82.
No,
isn't it?
I got way under. I actually have him going to.
You bumped him up to second round now?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I actually have him coming off the board as the first running back, going to your boy Harbaugh and the Chargers.
Really?
Blake Corum.
I thought you liked Benson to be the first back, but you're going to go Corum first back now?
Benson is my number one back on the board. But when you do the mock draft exercise, Corum is the first one going to the Chargers there in round 2 or 3 I have.
Interesting. Bo Nix over-under is 32.5 right now. So it goes to show we're not alone in thinking that he's going to fall a little bit. It's like basically will he be drafted in the first round?
Yeah, you know, I couldn't find a team that needed a quarterback in the late first round, and I just don't think he's that dude where somebody's going to give up future draft picks to move back up into the back end like they did for Lamar Jackson. So I do think he's a round 2 guy.
Cooper DeJean, Iowa Hawkeye, defensive back extraordinaire. This guy can return kicks in the modern NFL with his new stuff too. Over under 22.5.
Yeah, so the Eagles pick at 22. If they stand pat, Cooper DeJean would probably be the pick there at 22. I think the Packers are also in the mix, so I'm going to go under. I think he's a number 3 corner off the board.
Our guy that we both are big fans of, Jared Verse. Over under right now for Jared Verse is 16.5, Rick. We got about 15 seconds.
I'm going to go over there. I think the pass rushers get bumped down a little bit with that offensive explosion inside the top 10.
I would agree with you there. And as much as I like him on the football field, I don't think he's going to go in the top 16. Awesome stuff. Rick, thanks for joining us. I can't wait to see how this plays out, my man, and we'll catch up next week.
Buckle up, baby.
There's Rick Saratella kicking with us. I can't believe it, man. The draft it's actually here.
It's when he swung it easy at 3-quarter golf swings, and he pretty much hit his number all the time. Dude, but when he hit something full, he hit it 20 yards over the greens at times. He's like, what are you doing?
He's just smiley, happy, and a freakish athlete golf robot that's going to be right there winning majors for the next 10-plus years. It's amazing.
Did you say he was smiling or smiley?
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Philadelphia 76ers, who are the second best team in this Eastern Conference by a mile when Joel Embiid is healthy. And that's just what they are. So now, if Giannis isn't available, the Bucks would be dogs in the series.
He ain't sleeping on that air mattress anymore. He's got a regular king-size bed, a Posturepedic, whatever they call it, a Sealy's, whatever they do, those things. He ready to roll. Denominating tonight.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
People that bashed him will be eating their words this year.
Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is he a starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
a popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
The tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
Shout out to Rick Saratella for joining us on the Late Night Anger Management Class. Countdown to the NFL Draft is on, and we've got 34 seconds left in the basketball game right now. The Mavericks are leading 90-86. They're on the free throw line. They just hit the first of 2 free throws. Washington Jr. on the line. Now up 5 with 34 seconds left. Luka Doncic has hit a couple of big-time threes down the stretch in the game's final moments, has taken over. They were up. They were up by 10. The Clippers are chipping away here, but they're running out of time. 34 seconds left. I'd like overtime. Let's get some craziness in the late night hours here. Let's keep it rolling. They need more sense of urgency here. And did the Dallas Mavericks actually just foul Paul George taking a 3? I don't know if he got the shot. I don't know if they're giving it to him. That would be ridiculously stupid if they did. Yeah, they fouled him, but he wasn't shooting. So I think the Mavericks. Is he going to the free throw line? Yeah, he's going to the free throw line. Wow. He's going to the free throw. The one thing the Mavericks shouldn't have done, I got to be honest, he wasn't shooting the ball. Like, really, he wasn't shooting the ball. If I was Dallas, I wouldn't be. Dude, he got fouled like far before him taking the shot. Like, he threw it up like way after. I'm amazed he got the call there. But he's on the free throw line. Like, if you're Dallas, that's the one thing you didn't want to do. I've got over 190.5. I'm hoping that somehow it gets there, but it'll take a lot of wishing, I got to tell you. It'll take a lot of wishing, although getting free throws will help. I guess it was just a bonus situation. I got the sound down. I've been watching multiple games at once. Nevertheless, it's 92-88 right now with 27 seconds left. The Clippers have to foul. The Clippers have to foul. 20 seconds left. So it looks like the Mavericks are on the verge of potentially hanging on here unless there was a miracle comeback like there was last night in the Knick game. Right? Like there was last night in the Knick game. And we just had the dagger in Vancouver. 4-1. Nashville scored in an empty net. Vancouver pulled the goalie down 3-1 with about 2 minutes left, and it didn't take them long. They buried it into the empty net. Backbreaker for the plus 2.5 that we jumped on in game. We do have it under 6. There's still 30 seconds left, and Nashville are on the power play, and they're trying to score still to end the game strong here. So this series is going to be tied up at 1. I do think Vancouver can bounce back. They didn't really play poorly tonight, to be honest. There were a couple of goals that DeSmith really should have had, and they should have scored a million times tonight, and they didn't. It was just one of those bad puck luck nights. Vancouver are a good road team. I don't think the sky is falling. I think this is going to be an entertaining and long series. They play again on Friday night. We do have a final score, 4-1. 4-1 is the final score, so it's official. Nashville wins 4-1. Game stays under the number. Back to the basketball game right now. As this game is on the verge of coming to an end. 93-88. Got a 5-point game once again, and we got a timeout here with about 20 seconds left. Looking at the overnight lines for tomorrow night's NBA games, as the NBA playoffs roll on. The Pacers got it done tonight. The T-Wolves got it done tonight, so we got a 1-1 series. The T-Wolves are up 2-0. Tomorrow night, the Miami Heat are getting 14.5 points against the Boston Celtics. The total is 202.5. Miami were just completely overwhelmed in game 1. This is a massive number. Boston are minus 1,300 on the money line right now. The Pelicans. So the Heat and the Celtics, there's only 2 games. The Heat and the Celtics are at 7 o'clock Eastern. That's the difference with the NBA, right? The NHL, that's what's cool about the NHL playoffs for the most part. There's exceptions. They'll give you 3 days off, like the Canucks and the Preds, because there's a big travel situation. So they're not playing every 48 hours. But the NBA, the series are just so stretched out. So here we are already. We're into game 2s of playoff series, and you're already into like just 2 games on a nightly card. So the Heat are getting 14.5 points to the Celtics, 202.5. And the Pelicans and the Thunder, which should be a fun series. We saw the Pelicans lose game 1, but cover the number, getting to 7.5. Now they get the same number again. Total 210.5. I would expect this to be a close basketball game once again. So the Clippers have the ball with like 21.9 left, down 5. They need a quick shot. And do they get a quick deuce? I got to tell you, man, Dallas do a lot of dumb things late in games, don't they? It was a dumb foul on Paul George before to put him on the free throw line. Like, it stops the clock. It allows the Clippers to score. The Clippers were willing to take 2 instead of 3. So I don't know why, if you're Kyrie Irving, you don't let Kawhi Leonard just lay that in. Like, do you really think you're stopping Kawhi Leonard by, like, hacking him in his non-shooting arm as he goes up for a layup? Kyrie Irving decides to swat Kawhi Leonard, and now he's going to put Kawhi on the line, and it could be potentially a 2-point game suddenly. Dallas might actually blow this for real. 93-90. Now there's another timeout. Like I said, and Kawhi's going to be going to the free throw line. So it's going to be a 2-point game. We're creeping up here to a potential. Like I said, let's get overtime here. Not only because I hammered the in-game over at 190.5, but it would be entertaining to see an overtime game right now. So as I stated, the Celtics are laying 14.5. The Pelicans are getting 7.5 with the Thunder. Thursday night, we've got Cleveland Cavaliers and the Orlando Magic at 7 o'clock Eastern. I do think the Magic are going to win this basketball game now that they're back home. They're not going to win the series, but they'll win this game. The Knicks and Sixers will be must-see TV, and you have to wonder if the Sixers will actually get calls after everything that's happened. It's rare that the NBA will admit making as many mistakes as they did last night, but I really don't have that much of a problem with it, to be honest with you. I think the Sixers are blaming the wrong people. They should look in the mirror, right? They're the ones that turned the ball over. They're the ones that panicked. They're the ones that melted down. They're the ones that blew the lead. And, yeah, could they have gotten a timeout here? You also could have called a timeout after. Nick Nurse is blaming the referees. Joel Embiid says, oh, we're the better team. The NBA did admit that, yeah, Maxey got fouled, but whatever. Everybody always says, let him play. And then when they let him play, people freak out. You can't have it both ways. They were letting him play. It was like Monday Night Raw on the, at MSG. It was like WrestleMania or something, old school at MSG, Saturday Night Main Event. They were going to start calling fouls late like that and bailing people out.
It's when he swung it easy at three-quarter golf swings, and he pretty much hit his number all the time. Dude, but when he hit something full, he hit it 20 yards over the greens at times. He was like, what are you doing?
He's just smiley, happy, and a freakish athlete golf robot that's going to be right there winning majors for the next 10-plus years. It's amazing.
Did you say he was smiling or smiley?
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Philadelphia 76ers, who are the second best team in this Eastern Conference by a mile when Joel Embiid is healthy. That's just what they are. So now, if Giannis isn't available, the Bucks would be dogs in the series.
He ain't sleeping on that air mattress anymore. He's got a regular king-size bed, a posturepedic, whatever they call it, a Sealy's, whatever they do, those things. He's ready to roll. Denominating tonight.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
People that bashed him will be eating their words this year.
Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is his starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
a popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
The tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. The Dallas Mavericks are about to win right now. The Clippers. So for the record, I've been baffled by these calls. The referees suck. Let's just call it out for what it is. LeBron was right. I've always said this. Like, what's the point of having replay? You see this all the time, right? You see this in the NFL all the time, too. They'll go to the replay, and it's like they'll still get it wrong. I don't know how the hell that wasn't a foul on Kyrie Irving. And when they came back, Kawhi wasn't on the free throw line. Because, and I knew that would happen. Paul George just hit a 3 at the buzzer because, of course, he did, just to torture me to get to 189 when I had 190.5. I knew. I'm like, yeah, of course he would. Just when he shot, I'm like, yeah, why not? Just to torture me. And now we're going to lose by a point here. And I swear, man, the Clippers in the last 21 seconds, I've never seen a team have such a hard time fouling the other team as the Clippers did. Like they allowed like Kyrie Irving to run around and kill like 10 seconds once. And like both times they killed like the Mavericks just ran the ball around. The Clippers didn't foul. Just foul anybody. Just foul somebody. Right? Like Clippers fell apart late. Dallas get a big win. And we're going back to the Big D right now. Tied at 1. And we actually needed this for our series bet. Remember we gave this like last Friday on the show before the playoffs started with the Pacers plus 2.5, the T-Wolves plus 2.5, and the Mavericks plus 2.5. 2.5 games in the series, alternate spread in the series. So we've already won the T-Wolves bet because they've got 2 wins under their belt. The plus 2.5, right? If you lose the series 4-2, you're good. So we've won 2 games there. We needed the Pacers after losing game 1. Now we just need another win from the Pacers for the bet. Now we just need another win from the Mavericks. So that looks like a solid bet, like we're off and running. Luka Doncic ends up with 32 points tonight, 11 of 26 from the field, 6 rebounds and 9 assists. His conditioning is better now, and you're noticing the difference. His endurance in the fourth quarters of these games has been better, and he hit a couple of really big-time shots late in this game. Dallas still did a couple of dumb things that they're lucky they got away with, to be honest. But when it's all said and done, they get the W, and we're tied at 1 right now. So the markets are officially closed this evening. The Nashville Predators beat the Vancouver Canucks tonight. The Washington Capitals gave the Rangers all that they could handle, but the Rangers ended up winning the game. And now we're on to tomorrow night's action. So as far as my picks tomorrow, listen, Miami and Boston. I don't really want to lay 14.5. We talked about it earlier. The Boston Celtics team total is 108.5. The Celtics are explosive. There's no reason why they can't get to 109, 110 points. And this is the type of number that I don't think a lot of people are looking at yet right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little higher by tip-off tomorrow. So if you like that play, Boston Celtic team total takes the point spread out of the equation. If I had to lay the number, I would. It wouldn't surprise me if they smoked them again. But I think the team total bet is a nice play at 108.5. I think it's a pretty good number. I'm surprised not a little bit higher, and I think it will be tomorrow. As far as the Pelicans and the Thunder are concerned, I think the Pelicans can play with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They nearly nailed down game 1. I think they can. It'll be a similar situation. We'll have a really close game here. I think the plus 7.5, Oklahoma City are a good team, but I think they're kind of more evenly matched than people give it credit for. Throw off the seeding. And listen, if Zion was playing, maybe it would be a little bit different. But as I stated earlier, the Pelicans are used to playing without Zion. So I do like the Pels plus the 7.5 tomorrow. We have a full slate of hockey in the NHL tomorrow night, or at least we got 3 games in the NHL. The Boston Bruins are in Toronto. You see a trend in the NHL, the old zigzag, in which when teams lose game 1 of a playoff series, they are super desperate and aggressive in game 2. Like even the Washington Capitals, who were big dogs tonight, they didn't go down without a fight. It wasn't easy for the Rangers tonight. Similar situation, the Lightning and the Panthers went to overtime. So now you're going to get the Boston Bruins, who are going to be in a bad mood. The Leafs historically are not good at home in the playoffs. The Leafs historically are not good in game 1s. This isn't game 1 of a series, but like the first game back home. Not a great spot for them, but I think the Leafs are going to win the series. So if they're going to win the series, they better win this game tomorrow. So we'll take the Leafs at minus 115. The Dallas Stars were terrible in game 1. And everybody's expecting an automatic bounce back here. But I got to tell you, I'm not ready to lay minus 180 there. We'll be kicking it with Scott Farrell at 12:25 Pacific. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.
The Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The book is Dave Sherapan.
Play him pay that man his money.
Together, they are the Bostonian versus the Book.
You covered 12! I covered!
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the Book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry.